Hey guys, how's it going? Craig here from Bass Lessons Melbourne, and today I'm joined by none other than Teymur Phell.
Teymur Phell.
Teymur.
That's right.
I knew I was going to get that.
Because those guys, they messed it up on the
on
the thing. Yeah.
Teymur.
Whatever. I don't care. Nice to see you, man.
Yeah, you too, man.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Taking the time out. It's
of
great
course.
to have you around. And obviously you're in Melbourne for the Mike Stern gig.
Yeah, we're playing a whole week, 6 nights at Bird's Basement.
Cool. How's that going?
Great. Really fun. I mean, It's always fun to play.
Yeah.
So it's 6 nights in a row. That's great.
Yeah, 2 shows a night?
We're playing 2 shows a night, yeah.
How are you with that? Like stamina wise? Not an issue?
That's the gig, you know.
Yeah.
Be 3 sets a night, we do 3 sets.
Yeah.
Whatever you gotta do. No, we love playing, so yeah, of course you're jet lagged and everything, but you get used to that, so.
Yeah.
I mean, you can be tired, but as soon as you get up there, you stop playing, it's fine.
Yeah. And how long have you been playing with Mike for?
Well, I've known Mike for, I think, 6 years now, and I've been playing with him on and off for 5 years, and then a lot kind of in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And so that's pretty much from when you moved to New York. That's when you met him?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I met him, at the 55 bar.
55
He's
bar.
been playing there for 120 years already.
Yeah. So was your first gig with him at 55 bar?
Yeah, that's what usually happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, first gig was 55 bar.
Is that like the kind of training ground for?
I guess you can say that. That's the training camp. Yeah, the 55 bar. You mean probably played there with him at least 250 times, and with a bunch of other bands as well. My band. Yeah, 55 bar it's a really cool spot.
Yeah.
In the city. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And obviously you're here playing electric, but I gather that you do play upright as well.
Yeah, definitely. I studied classical upright in college. The bow. I played in the orchestra. Played all the classical pieces. Bottesini, Dragonetti, all that stuff.
So that was no kind of jazz schooling at that time?
I started with electric bass. My dad
bass.
turned me on to electric bass, and I started playing that. And but when I went to college, the classical thing was so much work. You kind of had to put the other stuff aside for a minute.
Sure.
Do that, and then I went back. But I had to, if you really want to know how to play upright, and especially be good at, pitch. Sometimes when you play with your fingers or pizzicato, it can fly, and it'll be all right. But then if you're in the same spot and then you pick up the bow, you could be, oh no, I'm not really clean.
Holding that note.
So yeah, playing with the bow really keeps you, teaches you how to be exactly honest. Yeah, it's a lot of work. I mean, if you want to be a great classical guy, you really kind of have to just do that. A couple hours a day of scales and then pieces and orchestra stuff. It's a lot of work. So I kind of had to choose at the end of the day what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And just the freedom of, improvising and blowing over tunes is always... I love classical music, but at the end of the day, it's always playing something that somebody else had written out.
Yeah.
And you have to follow it exactly. Yeah, you got your interpretation.
Sure.
And stuff, but it's not like this,
No, true.
You get to be more free, and we love that.
Yeah. So how did you build your whole jazz side of your playing? Did you have teachers back in Israel or Azerbaijan?
Yeah. I grew up in Israel, so not really had too many teachers, or I never really had electric bass lessons with anybody. But my dad got me some of those old VCR tapes. the Jaco Pastorius one, and I had the John Patitucci.
Yeah.
It was 2 volumes, right? It was the
volume
more
1 and 2.
yeah, it was volume 1 and then volume 2.
Yeah.
So the 6-string and solo and that stuff, and then a lot of transcribing.
Yeah, really.
And I had like Ron Carter bass lines and Ray Brown bass lines, as far as learning how to, play a tune.
Walking?
Like walking and halftime feel and all that stuff. And then just transcribing, like anything that I heard that sounded great, I just kept listening to it till I kind of had it, and then you move on to something else.
Yeah, I remember Jaco talking about that in that video, Modern Electric Bass,
Yeah.
just play everything. Oh, I think it's when he's talking about reading. He's like, read.
Yeah.
Read melodies, read everything you can.
Yeah, well, when I was a kid, my dad always kind of made me read. So I had it. It wasn't great, but I could read. But then when I went to college and I had to play in an orchestra, that's when I really practiced my reading and got it together. Yeah.
And were you straight on the 6-string bass or starting off with the 4-string?
No, I started with a 4.
Yeah.
And then, like when I was, it all comes down to what CDs or records were at your house.
So Patitucci.
So I had Patitucci, and my dad also had this Alain Caron record, Le Band.
Yeah.
And I just remember being a kid, and I saw the cover, and I saw it was more than 4 strings, and I just thought it was cool. So I always
it's
wanted.
Not, but it looked cool.
Yeah. So it's not. Yeah, this is cheesy as fuck. Man. No. So yeah, and then when I was 18, 19, I got my first 6-string because that's what I was listening to.
Sure.
So I kind of always wanted to do that. And talking about 6-string is a lot of times, people see you play 6-string and they'll immediately have that vibe about you that, if you're just playing probably just up there and you can't really play bass, and that's just not true.
Yeah.
Just don't be prejudiced to 6-string. I mean,
do you encounter that a lot in in New York?
I mean, not at this point, because at this point, honestly, I don't give a fuck what anyone says, right?
Yeah.
But one guy once told me, he's a famous guitar player from New York, I'm not going to mention his name, and then a couple of years ago, he said, called me on a gig, but he said, you got to play 4-string, because that's what I like. And I said, I love you, man, but I'm not going to do that. That's my instrument, and
wow,
it's a package deal, so
yeah,
I'm not going to be comfortable. I mean, if you just want me to comp and kind of, if it's your record date or something, I'll do it. But if I kind of have to play my shit, I need to have my bass. Yeah, so I was like, no, thank you. Call somebody else.
Yeah, I guess it's in a way it's kind of like the whole slap bass thing where, bad or guys who just thunder thumbs, they give slap a bad name, but it's not inherently a bad thing. In the same way that there's probably some 6-string guys who have just played up here all night and they've given 6-string a bad name, and it kind of spoils it for everyone else.
Yeah, I try to never really judge anyone before and even after, but definitely before I've played with them.
Okay.
Or at least give a guy a chance, hear him play, or you have a drummer, guitar player, whatever.
Yeah.
You gotta first hear the guy or the girl, and then
because we've all come from different paths and arrived at whatever it is that we do in completely different ways.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to a lot of guys, that play with the smaller spacings. Like this is 19, like jazz bass standard.
So that's pretty big.
And a lot of guys play with 17 and even smaller than that.
Yeah.
And they play with low actions, and I feel like what you lose doing that is dynamics.
Okay.
Because the strings on the bass are pretty thick, especially these low ones. They're really thick, and they need space to rattle. They need space to move. If they're down here, your dynamic is limited. Like you either got this. If you go a little stronger, you buzz.
Sure.
And I can go like with the higher action. I can go like. Look how long before I buzz. Right?
It's clean and
you got
fat.
4, 5, 6 different dynamics.
And even when it's buzzing, the note's not choking. There's still a little bit more there,
exactly.
And you can have the
and
buzzing.
If you want like really
it's
nice
part of the sound.
Yeah, if you want really nice sustain, like because there's room for the string to move. So see, it's moving here. There's room for it to go like that.
Yeah.
If it's all the way down here.
I think I'm right in saying that the string doesn't vibrate like that. It oscillates, right? It goes in a circle.
Maybe. I don't know.
I think I might be wrong, but I think it might go in a bit of a circle. So you need that space between the fingerboard and the string for it to do that instead of just that.
Yeah, I guess you're right. And but again, there's exceptions. to this too. There's some guys who have lower actions that sound great, you know.
But my mate,
So-
Pat Farrell, a bass player from Australia,
Yeah.
he was in New York for a bit, and he had a lesson with Matt Garrison, and he said he was surprised at how high Matt's action was on his bass. But then when you hear him play, he's got that dynamic range and stuff.
Exactly.
Like
So yeah, and a lot of times dynamics would help you if you're playing jazz on electric bass, and you want to get gigs playing jazz on electric bass. I did this clinic, my music masterclass thing, video, and I talked about this. If you want to get gigs playing jazz on electric bass, you kind of have to shoot for, you know, like a fatter. You want to have that upright vibe. Like you know, a more kind of rounded sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did you find it, kind of getting involved in the scene in New York when you first got there? I mean, we were talking in the car on the way over. How
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just,
yeah.
It's a jungle out there.
Yeah, it's a jungle, but it's really, you know, just being out there, meeting people. And, you know, I always take people who ask me, students or whoever wants to come to New York, and they ask me, should I do it? And I say, first of all, yeah, why not? You can try. But New York is really about, you really have to be, I don't want to say the best, because nobody's really the best, but you really have to be good. And then once you're really good, that's step number one.
Yeah, that's the given.
Then, exactly, that's the given. And then you got to wait and
network and hang out.
Network and
be a
hang
nice
out.
guy
And,
and
yeah, I mean, it's a lot.
be professional.
There's no like recipe. Everybody's different, and everybody's
Yeah.
you know, personality is different. Like, you got to go to jam sessions and stuff, but sometimes, you know, when I came there, I went to a bunch of jam sessions. It didn't really get me a lot of stuff.
No.
It's more of, you know, it's like
Maybe see
everybody just shows up to these things to kind of show up.
Yeah.
And show what they got, and it's a very like, you know, kind of hoping whatever Roy Hargrove's gonna come in and hear me play and I get a gig, and it's not always like that, but it's a bunch of different cliques and a bunch of different scenes, and you just gotta kind of find your thing and find the people you like playing with.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm thinking a little bit about the gig you're doing just now with Mike.
Yeah.
Like in terms of repertoire, does it kind of like, does he go learn my discography, or these are the pool of tunes we're going to be using? Like, how did you go about learning what you're going to learn from the gig?
Well, you know, Mike would never really. He's not one of those guys that say we're gonna do it. And nothing is really 100% clear. You know, you kind of have to just do it. Like, I remember before the first gig I've played with him, and I asked him, because when we used to practice a lot together at his house,
Yep.
and jam for hours. When he was in town, it would be every day.
Cool.
For hours. So, but we never really played his tunes. You know, I kind of always wanted to play it, but he never wanted to do it because he's, you know, tired of playing that shit. So he always just wanted to play standards and, you know, Coltrane,
Okay.
stuff like that. So we never really played his tunes at all. And then when I asked him before the first gig, what tunes shall I know, he just said, you got it. I didn't know what that meant. I was just like, all right, I better go over as much as
you can.
I can and, like, you know, guess what he's gonna want to play. Or
I mean,
but
like
it
if he calls like something like Chromosome, you kind of gotta know that.
Yeah. Well, you know, if you're playing with Mike, you better know Chromosome. I guess that's one of them.
That's what I'm saying. Is just like So you just kind of went through and goes what? Okay.
Yeah, but I never got charts or anything.
Charts or anything like that,
I kind of just transcribe it and.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So I mean, what else is, what else are you doing when you're not doing obviously the Mike Stern? Is what's
Well, anything, man. If it's paying, I'm playing. So, but I like to do to produce. I just recently produced a couple singers in New York. That was a lot of fun, and that's more like behind the piano kind of work. And again, I can't explain how important it is to play piano.
Okay.
No matter what instrument you play.
Yeah.
Because the piano is gonna open up a whole different thing. Like if you wanna compose and write for a bigger band, or even write just songs for a singer, or just compose your own music, some stuff can come from like a groove, and some tunes can come from a melody you got, but a lot of the in between, a lot of the meat,
how they fit together.
Yeah, you really kind of, if you play piano, that really helps. And
yeah, I was listening to an interview with Gary Willis, and he was saying normally the bass line is the last thing that he comes up with, because that's the easiest part for him. The rest of it will be the harmony and the melodic content, and then the bass lines at the end.
Yeah, well, everybody's so different. I mean, you can jam and come up with a cool bass line, say that could be something, that could be a tune, and then come up with the rest. Or you can play around the piano and come up with some cool harmony and say, well, what would be a nice melody over that?
Yeah.
Or you can think of a melody first and like, okay, that's a nice melodic idea. Like, can I turn this into a tune? And then if you have a loop or something, you play it and then try to come up with a bass line for it. But I feel that if you come up with a melody and a bass line, these are like, the two edges.
Yeah.
Right? So, and then you can fill the stuff in between.
What's the mayonnaise and the lettuce?
Yeah, all that stuff.
So the My Music Masterclass thing.
Yeah.
Yours is like a walking, or is it a wide?
There's two parts. One part is about, it's called swinging electric bass.
Okay.
Right, because it's kind of what a lot of people know me for.
Okay.
Doing,
Right.
And the first part of it is the walking bass part. Like not so much about choice of notes, more about the feel. And I talk about how if you're playing like a jazz bass style instrument, how I like to go to the back pickup, like 70-30.
Okay.
And with your right hand play like on the fretboard here.
Because my instinct would be to go to front pickup, but over the fingerboard.
Exactly. That used to be my instinct too, but then I realized that that's the wrong instinct for that stuff.
It's
yeah,
clearer.
because see, it's like if you're here.
Yeah.
It's good when the band gets louder. Like if when the tune starts out and you're here, it's a fatter tone, and that's usually the back pickup.
Yep.
Yeah, and then as the tune progresses and gets a little louder and you gotta cut through more, you kind of move back here. It's a little punchier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. And then the second installment is...
So go ahead and please download.
Check it out
on My Music Masterclass. It's really cheap. I think it's like $20 or something for both.
Yeah, right.
And the second video talks about soloing. Again, not about choice of notes, but more about the feel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you were telling me how you're working on the next evolution of that.
Oh yeah, and I'm also writing this book with a friend of mine, a bass player from New Jersey. His name is James Callback. And the book is called Killer Walking Bass. So this is really the next level walking. Like once you've studied your, once you've got it down, you feel like you're really good at, playing standards and playing tunes and walking through them in a nice supporting way. And you feel like for a while you've kind of been stuck in what you've been doing. That's how I felt. That's why I started writing those lines, to kind of expand on a lot of ideas that I had, but just figure out more melodic and more compositional approach to walking bass. So I started writing over standards, that most of you play jazz probably know, stuff like Green Dolphin Street, Giant Steps, All the Things You Are. So yeah, really a melodic approach to walking bass and a compositional approach. So in a way that when you just hear the bass walk through a tune, you can hear the harmony. You know how Bach bass lines of the left hand, the piano kind of weaves through the changes, and you can really hear the harmony just through the bass. So that's what I was kind of shooting for. Melodic and melodic ideas and patterns that make it feel like a composition.
Okay.
And also, the main concept is most of the walking bass books, if not all of them pretty much, really focus on how to walk behind the melody of the tune. All right? Like, Stella by Starlight. They really take in mind the melody. Make sure that your bass line don't interfere with the melody. Like, because it's a contrapoint to the melody, right? So, but 90% of the time you're walking behind a solo, not behind the melody. So I'm addressing more of that, walking behind
really
the soloist.
Into the...
And a lot of times when you walk behind somebody, it's also a reaction. It's listen and react thing. So you can't really learn a bass line and then it's 100% going to fit on the gig behind somebody, because it might not. Because they might play a note and the line you know by heart. It's not going to work for that. So this book is not really about learning these bass lines per se and memorizing them. It's more about like getting the concept and then being able to kind of recreate that concept while you play live. And it's I wrote these lines and I'm learning them myself now.
Yeah.
There's like some stuff that's like, oh shit, I forgot I did that, and I'm trying to learn that.
Do you find, do you do much teaching, or have you done much teaching, like private students or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Do you find that you learn when you do that as well? Like what you were saying, you write out these bass lines and you're learning as well. Like when you have a student and you're teaching them something, you're actually going, oh yeah, or reminding yourself of...
I mean, I'm not afraid to say this, because, I really try to get students that really, that are a little bit more advanced and are kind of into doing, the stuff I'm trying to get into. So I get really selfish in lessons, and I will just, sometimes I will try to teach the student the stuff I'm working on.
Okay. So
that I got, if somebody comes over for 2 hours, I got an extra 2 hours to do it myself. Yeah, and sometimes if it's like something that's a little too complex and the guy doesn't get it, I'm like, oh, you can get it, yeah. do it. And then I'm like, I better get it too. So I get to practice it. And some guys get it, and then it's great. But, not always. If somebody, obviously if somebody is like more of a beginner or intermediate level, I'll give them what they need, what I feel they need.
What like nowadays for the modern bass player, like, what would you say are real core fundamentals that you got to have down if you want to be a working, or just like a high standard
well-rounded
musician?
Bass player, Well, this is something we talked about before. A lot of people practice, with soloing and blowing and all these lines, which is great. I do that all the time too, obviously, but you can't really put aside the actual bass playing part of it. Like, you really have to listen to your James Jamerson. You gotta listen to your Ray Brown. You gotta listen to Marcus Miller. You gotta
Paul McCartney.
Sure, man, and everything that the bass is doing what it was supposed to do, just play the bass, because nobody really will hire you to play solos too much. Like, if you wanna make some money and be a professional bass player, it's all about making the artist you're playing with sound good. They don't really care how you solo. I mean, it's great if you come out there and blow like crazy. It's amazing. It's good, but you have to also be at least as good in playing and supporting. So you gotta check out your Latin bass lines and Afro-Cuban stuff, and really kind of learn the clave. And if you're playing jazz, definitely Ron Carter, Ray Brown, guys like that, Paul Chambers, and basically just learn the different styles.
Okay.
You gotta, if somebody calls, say, can we play this in a reggae vibe, you better know how to go. get the tone, because each style has like not just again choice of notes and vibe, but also the tone.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
You kind of have to know what you're doing here and in your amp.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just you gotta make the whole thing sound good. So my advice is in the beginning, don't get too caught up in if you see some crazy bass solo on YouTube trying to get that, like really focus on learn your job first. And
sure.
then,
I find that with students that come in and they've been checking stuff out on YouTube and they go, I really think you should be learning the modes. And I'm like, okay, do you know your chord tones? Like, can you play me root, third, fifth, and seventh of these 4 different chords? And a lot of time that doesn't happen. So it's like, in terms of my experience as a bass player, it's more important to know your chords, fundamentals, than maybe the modes and stuff, in my experience.
Yeah, it's all important. Just you got to make sure. I know I said I didn't have a bass teacher, but I definitely had people in my life who set me in the right direction. My dad is a piano player, and he used to kind of show me stuff all the time. And it was less technical stuff. It was more music.
More music, yeah.
So if you can get a great teacher who's who can show you obviously bass stuff, but also some stuff beyond, that'd be great. And look, if you want to be a professional working musician, you kind of have to do it all. You got to practice your ear training.
Yeah.
You got to practice your reading. I mean, there's a lot of great guys who don't read at all. I play lately a lot with Dennis Chambers.
Yeah.
Incredible drummer. One of the greatest of all time. And he doesn't read at all. And he managed to do it without it because, he's that good. But not everybody is like that. If you get a chance to learn how to read, you should do that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Because, hey, we're not all Dennis Chambers. So.
Exactly. So reading, and then, again, a little bit of piano. You don't have to be, Liberace, but just learn a little bit piano, a little bit harmony, ear training, solfeggio, all that stuff really helps. And I went to this, in Haifa, in Israel, the town I'm from, this musical high school called Vitzo. And they had really, really good professors there that taught, that focus on dictation and singing and solfeggio and that stuff. And that really helps.
Just music?
Really, just music. It really helps. Because you learn how to practice music without your instrument. You can just be outside, and if this is going, then you come home and you have it because you already figured it out. Sure. This is the hard part.
Yeah.
This is the easy part.
Yeah. How did you kind of go around really refining your technique for blowing on the instrument? Did that come from just learning solos, or was it you practicing technique and then you apply it to the music?
Well, something I did a lot besides transcribing, which is obviously you got to do if you want to play this music. And of course, not only bass players. I used to transcribe still, Michael Brecker or Bob Berg.
Yeah.
Or even early on before I knew Mike, I transcribed some of his stuff, and Pat Metheny or Stanley Tarantine or Joe Henderson, and anything that just sounds great, you can do it on bass. And I also used to write a lot of solos when I was younger. I was just compose solos.
Right. Okay.
I would say, okay, I'm I was like 16, 17 years old, like I'm practicing Don Ali, now let me write down a couple choruses of solo that is well composed, and you kind of teach yourself to know how to grow in a solo when you're playing live.
Okay.
Obviously, we're not composing solos anymore. We're just, but you if you do it, it's really nice.
But as a practice.
As a practice to compose something that is well rounded from beginning to end. It sounds great. Then learning it, and then you can forget it. Then you move to the next tune and you do it again. So I think I probably wrote like 20 or 30 solos over a bunch of different songs.
And through that helped develop your technique?
Yeah, and then later on, if there's something you want to play and you can't, because they say, right, that the technique serves the music, not the other way around, right? So if you try to play something, you say, shit, I can't do that, and you come up with an exercise to fix that, and you move on,
Yeah, okay.
a lot of just it's really not rocket science.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really about just sitting there and just doing it.
Just putting in the time.
Yeah. Like a lot of people talk to me about talent and they say, oh, you're talented. And I say, talent is that magic 1%. You got to have it. Otherwise, it's never going to be the 100%. But 99% is the practice.
Yeah, it's the time.
Yeah. It's the time you spend doing it, like anything else. They say you need 10,000 hours to reach like a certain level. I think I heard John Scofield say that. And it's really about just the work.
And so what are you working on nowadays then?
Well, right now I'm working a lot on writing my album, first of all.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'm going to start recording this summer a little bit.
Yeah. Is this first album?
Yeah, it's going to be the debut. And I waited a while, I'm 29 now, so it's due.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of happy I waited with it because I really know kind of what I want to do with it now. And still working on everything, working on bass lines, working on soloing, less transcribe and more, coming up with, concepts from me,
Just practicing being creative.
Exactly, practicing being creative and just see what happens, I never know.
Yeah. And has there been a couple of players or guys that you've encountered who've been a bit of a catalyst and really, talking about jamming with Mike Stern every day, that must have been a bit of a schooling. Or?
Yeah, that was like a free master class. It was like a free, college class.
Yeah.
That went on for a couple of years. It was amazing.
Huge.
If you had, if I had like any question, I could ask him. Really helped me out, and as well, composition wise and just concept wise, I got a lot from him. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And you also played with Oz Noy?
Yeah, I played a little bit with Oz.
Oz Noy, yeah.
Yeah, he's a motherfucker.
You were showing me that lick earlier on?
Yeah, well, he does this
he's
octave.
Angular player, would that be?
Yeah, like I was just playing like, even if this is an F sharp 13 chord, so I was just going and moving down in thirds, right?
Minor thirds, major thirds.
So I was just going. And then you kind of break it up, and I just went. Something like that. Yeah, it's cool.
Little nuggets.
Yeah, so little ideas like that you can, you practice a lot of stuff, and then you hope that on the gig some of it is gonna come out.
And also comes out in your way. Like you're probably not going to play it the same way that Oz played.
Yeah, you hear a concept that's cool, and you kind of make it your own.
Yeah.
You never want to sound like somebody else.
Sure.
But you definitely want to learn from everybody else.
And I think sometimes that's the core behind transcription that's lost a lot of time with people, is you're not learning it to play exactly like that. You're learning it to learn how to do your own version of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, man.
Yeah. F bass is your instrument of choice?
F bass is my instrument of choice. Yeah, I used to play something else before, and a friend of mine, great bass player from New York, also Edmund Gilmore. He's been playing the bass for a while, and he constantly used to tell me about them all the time. And then, and also I've always heard Alain Caron play these basses. So I was looking for a 6-string that would kind of fit what I want, and I went over there. I told George what I like about my old bass and what I don't like about it, and then I told him what I like about his bass and what I would like to change in his bass. We kind of came up with this, which is it's more of a B and F shaped body, with it's kind of the B and F with fretted neck.
Okay. And
it's 26 frets. I didn't need 28. But I like. Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, but I barely get up there. But
so is the BNF 26?
No, it's 28.
Really?
Yeah. So I just wanted 26. I didn't want 28.
That's huge.
And it's slightly bigger nut.
Wow.
And we just changed the radius of the neck of the fingerboard a little bit.
Flatter or?
A little more flat, yeah. Touch more flat.
Is it still compound? It's still.
No, it's still. You can see it's still rounded. Yeah. And exposed pickups, which I like, because I think it has like a bite ear. See what I mean? It has like.
Yeah. Did you compare it with the covered ones or just?
Yeah, I heard the covers and I said I think this is gonna sound better, and it did. So now we're doing.
It's beautiful.
Now I'm getting another one, which is will be kind of similar. It's gonna be 24 frets though, and we're gonna move the treble horn a little up, so it'll be a little more comfortable sitting down. Yeah, they're great though. I love it. I think out of everybody out there, F bass, for me, for the way I play, is ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really recommend.
What is it that you feel like is your home in terms of tone? Like if you pick up a bass or whatever, you picked up.
Well, I always wanted a single coil jazz bass version of a 6-string bass.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because so often the 6 strings are humbuckers, right? Or
yeah, I don't really like humbuckers and soul bars.
But you didn't go the typical New York route of Federa, which seems to be the case over there.
No, I didn't.
For reasons, just
various.
They do sound different, like very
Yeah, they're great basses. They're great basses. A lot of people play them, but for me personally, the F bass is the right choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And if people want to check out what you're doing, get in touch with you, check out your lessons, website,
they can go to my website. It's Teymur Phell at gmail.com. No, that's my email. Sorry, don't email me. It's teymurphell.com.
But your email address is on there anyway, so.
Yeah, exactly. There's a different email up there, and you can email me about, lessons and booking. Yeah, not like
recipes.
Just recipes and questions.
What strings
about,
should I use?
Yeah, none of that stuff. I use DR strings, by the way, and DR strings have been the first guys to endorse me. Early on, really supported me, and still, I just got a package of new strings, a couple boxes. And,
sounds great.
Yeah, I change them every, I'd say 2-3 weeks. If I'm on the road, then every 10 days.
Are you just the same set for this whole run then, or maybe change?
No, it's the same set for the. I actually like them. I use the high beams. I really like them 3 days in.
Yeah.
When they're greasy enough already.
Yeah.
And not as fresh,
zingy,
exactly. 3-4 days in, it's perfect. And like now, this has been 10, 11 days. It still sounds great. Yeah, I like that bitey sound of the back. It's like a jazz bass, you know what I mean? That.
And you were saying this is 60s position?
Yeah, 60s position.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think that helps for the warmth.
Yeah, I like the 60s position.
Yeah, cool. Awesome, man.
Thank you, sir.
Fascinating, man.
Very much.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
TeymurPhell.com.
TeymurPhell.com, and there's a link there that says on sale, and that will take you to My Music Masterclass.
Yeah, the My Music Masterclass stuff is awesome.
And it's really, I kind of wanted to do this course up there of something that I wish I had coming up. I wish somebody would have talked about swinging electric bass.
Sure.
Because that's what I was figuring out,
Yeah.
Anthony Jackson and Marcus Miller and I love the way that they approach walking electric bass.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's interesting, that you speak of Marcus in terms of swinging.
Oh, man, most people know Marcus Miller from, obviously the slap stuff and everything else. But, when you hear him play, this record, Michel Petrucciani... I'm not sure if it's a Michel Petrucciani record or all of them did it together. It's called Dreyfus Night in Paris.
Yep.
With Marcus Miller, Birelli Legrand, and I think it's Lenny White.
Right.
I'm not sure. I can't remember. I haven't listened to it in a long time. But this is when I first heard Marcus walk with a muted thumb. And, it was just like he had that fat...
The attack and the decay.
Really fat, so satisfying. And then Anthony Jackson used to do the same stuff.
Yeah.
I used to listen to him a lot with the Michel Camilo trio.
Yeah.
And
that's epic.
Yeah, so that was definitely an influence. So yeah, that video on My Music Masterclass definitely talks about how to get how to get that shit together, you know.
Yeah, and solo
And it's
album?
cheap as hell. I think it's for both courses like $19 or something.
Yeah.
I mean,
And when do you think your solo album will be out?
hopefully, you know, I'm gonna do a couple bands, couple different people
Lineups.
on lineups. Yeah, there's gonna be some stuff with Mike and Dennis Chambers on drums.
Cool.
Yeah, a couple tunes like that, and then some other stuff. And I really don't know. I'm not rushing it, but hopefully, you know, a year.
Yeah.
A year and a half, maybe.
Cool. We'll
Yeah.
check in again then and see what's happening.
Absolutely.
Cool, guys. Well,
All right. Thank you.
that'll wrap it up. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.